G'day guys, Lemon Eating Cow here, and today I am back with another video, and this time I'm going to be talking about Middle-earth: Shadow of War. So on the weekend I went to the EB Expo on the Gold Coast, and during this expo they showed off a whole heap of different games, and one of them I checked out, which I was pretty impressed with actually, was Shadow of War, or Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Now this is based on the Lord of the Ring series. Well, not based on it, but it's kind of like a side shoot, or it borrows the world from the Lord of the Ring trilogy. And I really liked the first game. The first game was called Shadow of Mordor, and if you haven't played that before, it's basically a hack and slash action RPG where you just go through the countryside. It's pretty open world. You can choose where you attack and when, basically, and you level up your character with different skills and abilities, and as you're doing that you have to take out different groups of orcs, or different head orcs, and it used something pretty unique in the gaming world, and it was called the Nemesis system. And this was basically, there was a whole heap of different orcs that you could see through your menu, and each of them, or Uriks I think they were called, each of them had their own motivations, skills, weaknesses, strengths, and things like that. And depending on what order you killed them in, or what order they killed you in, and you could bribe them and threaten them and things like that, the hierarchy of them and their actual strengths and weaknesses would change depending. So if there was a very weak captain who was on the front line and he managed to kill you in the actual game, say if you messed up, you got overrun and you actually got killed by him, he would actually get a promotion, and most of the time his armor would change, his strengths and weaknesses would change, and there was a possibility that he would move up the ranks and challenge the higher ranking officers. So that is now back in the Shadow of War, but I think they've expanded upon it even more, and it seems like a really cool system. In this one, I think you can actually control your own Urik commanders as well, and then influence them and send them on assassination missions to level them up and command them into fortress raids and all sorts of stuff, and it looks really good. I was actually able to get a hands-on experience with it. I played for 20 minutes, I think, at the Warner Brothers booth, or the Xbox booth. I think we were playing it on the Xbox One S. It could have been the Xbox One X. I'm not really sure. Either way, the game looked absolutely fantastic. Like, the graphics were really up there. I couldn't quite tell. I don't know whether it runs at a constant 60 FPS, but I noticed no big frame dipping from what I played. There could very well be in the main version, but from what I played, I couldn't notice any massive frame drops, and it seemed really smooth. It was basically much like the first Shadow of Mordor, but it was just a lot better and a lot more features. But as far as the gameplay goes, we actually played a level where you can breach a castle, much like the gameplay in the background here, and you've had a whole heap of different options of how to do it. You can mount drakes, you can go over the walls, or you can choose to just run straight towards the big guy, but of course that's going to be a bit harder if you don't take out his underlings first. I actually I did a bit of the fortress, but then the actual whole open world was open to us. So I just wandered around the world and ran into different captains and things like that, and I was really quite impressed. Like I said before, I really liked the first game. I thought it was amazingly well done. It can get a bit repetitive and grindy at some points, but then the unique random factor of all these Urik captains that you meet just added a really nice spice to it. And if you really want to, you can actually, if you want to see a particular Urik get leveled up and make his way through the ranks, maybe you can die to him a couple of times, because maybe he has a particular trait that you know how to counter very easily. So if he kills you a few times, you can rank him up, kill him when he's a higher rank, and get more loot from him and things like that. So if you get bored of the normal grind, you can kind of manipulate the Nemesis system to have a bit more fun. I know there's been quite a bit of controversy around Shadow of War because of their inclusion of microtransactions and DLC. I was talking to quite a few different people about it, and as far as I can determine, I haven't seen a final build of the game, but what I can ascertain is basically the DLC that you can buy from this game is it's pretty much just loot and things that will speed up the game. It's not like you'll be playing and think, oh man, I cannot play because I'm in a roadblock. I have to buy the paid content or the DLC. As far as I know, it's just a kind of a quality of life thing, but it's been mentioned before that it kind of defeats the purpose of playing the game, because the actual fun of playing the game is grinding out the levels and witnessing all the different captains. But if you pay for it, then you kind of rob yourself of gameplay. So I believe if you want to protest against the DLC, if you're not a fan of it, and personally I don't like to see a lot of microtransactions in game, I really don't, I think you'd be punishing yourself more than a company if you didn't buy this game, because it looks and it plays very, very good. If you do want to stand against the DLC, simply don't buy it. I think that'll send a strong message. If people don't buy the DLC, it might send a strong message to the Warner Brothers company. But I think the game itself is phenomenal. If it's anything like the first game, which was incredibly good, it'll be well worth the money spent on it. And as long as you can get past that whole controversy thing, then I think it'll be a game that it really, really shouldn't be missed. I also managed to talk to one of the guys there from Warner Brothers. He's actually pretty closely involved with the company. He was actually flown over from America to promote the game, and he talked about it with a lot of passion, and he seemed like a gamer first and like a business dude second. I think he was a very nice, approachable, down-to-earth guy. And yeah, if you're expecting some like mustache twirling guy with a top hat behind a desk, then it's a little bit different in the real world. But the guy from Warner Brothers seemed incredibly nice and very open to talk about it, and he actually spent quite a bit of time with me, so I'm pretty thankful for that. Anyway, basically, I just wanted to tell you that I think this game is fantastic, and if you can put the stuff, the DLC side and the other things, then I think it'll be a very good game, and I think you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. There'll be hours upon hours upon hours of gameplay in this one. I will be purchasing it. I definitely will be purchasing it, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it as far as the channel goes. Hopefully I can make guides and stuff for it, but at the moment I'm actually pretty chockers with the amount of games that I'm covering. I'm probably planning to do guides. I might do a type of informal review on it as well, and yeah, definitely some live streams too. So anyway, I hope you guys can join me on that one, and I hope YouTube kind of doesn't demonetize too much of it, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, as far as the EB Expo goes, where I went to play all these different games, I'll be covering the other games that I played at the Expo, and hopefully give you guys a bit of insight into the hands-on gameplay impressions. Anyway, if you did like this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you have any comments or suggestions, or you just want to tell me if you're going to play the game, or if you're not going to play it, then why not? Because I don't mind having a bit of a chat about it in the game. And again, I'm not sponsored or anything by Warner Brothers, so I'm not trying to be a shill here. I'm really not, but I think it'll be a very good game. So yeah, and if you haven't subscribed already, then please do so, because I will most likely be bringing a lot of Shadow of War content onto the channel. Anyway, this has been Lemon Eating Cow. Moo. See you guys.